Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Break Room Nerds. I'm Super Malbros. Alongside with me is Azuri. We're going to talk about Escape from Tarkov. Most of you guys have played this before. It's a pretty old, I wouldn't say old, but it's been around in PC for a couple years now. It's still in beta, but the big news is the wipe is about to happen in about 2 weeks. So everybody's talking about preparing for it. A lot of top streamers are actually going to go back to playing Tarkov because of the wipe. So me and Azur are just going to talk about what we expect. Is the game going to be difficult, more difficult? When the wipe happens, is it going to be easier? And just in general, is the game going to be fun to play when that happens? So Zuri, let's start with you. What do you think about the wipe? What do you think is going to happen? And is it going to be harder, you think, when that happens?
So, what I think when this wipe happens, I think it's going to be fun to a certain point, and once everyone starts questing, and you get all those people going to the same locations, doing the same things, everyone's grinding for, you know, X quest item. It's going to be tough, and everyone's not going to have that level 6 gear or the best gun or the best ammo, but you're still going to have everyone in the same general area going for the same general stuff, and you're going to have everyone confined in one spot for the same quest, and you're going to have one team shooting, and you're going to have a third party. And now that Tarkov is so different than when it first came out, like when Tarkov came out 3 years ago, it was mostly singles and duos going into a raid. Now, because of the huge explosion of Tarkov when they released it to the wild, this beta, or just purchasing the game, you start seeing more 5-man, 4-man squads running deep. So it's like now you have these people calling out and giving that those comms, which is great, which is the realisticness of this game is what is so appealing about it, which is the thing I love. But it's going to make it so much more difficult because now you've had all these new people that came in last, like mid wipe, and they had that huge sale, which is when I got into it, and I poured 300 hours into it. I really learned the game and learned the maps, and I just got really good, decently good at the game. Now think about the people who never stopped. I stopped playing for probably the past month and a half or so. Those people who maybe hadn't gotten as good as I did, or had gotten as good as me, or now are better than me, or had just gotten even better than anybody else who had been playing, they know all the maps. They know what guns to use. They just know all the best things about this game. I mean, some of the systems have changed. I think it's going to be difficult and stressful and very hard. I think there's going to be still some fun times in the game occasionally, but I don't think it's going to be like when I first started Tarkov. I was having a lot of success at extracting, having good times, getting lots of loot. I feel like now I'm going to this wipe is going to be a very different experience, and I really hope I'm wrong. I really want to dive back into this game hard like I did the first time, but maybe it was the whole quarantine thing. It got a lot more people playing, and it just so much more sweaty and try hard. So hopefully I'm wrong, but I think it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be unplayable for people who stopped playing for a while.
I think well, for me, I think that obviously I jumped in a lot later, but I've been playing like, once a week, pretty much twice a week, whenever I get a chance. It's definitely much harder now because it's right before the wipe, so everybody is bringing their best stuff. And so the biggest problem I have right now is running to a guy that's fully geared, and you're losing the gunfight not because of your skill level, but because they just simply have better stuff than you. But I feel like when the wipe happens, yes, you're going to get a lot of people that are really good because they've been playing nonstop. But that whole unevenness is gone. It's all about if he's just a better shooter than you. If he is, then I accept that because maybe he's just been playing on PC for his entire life. He's just really good at the game. That's fine, but I can't accept something if I'm shooting someone with level 6 armor, slick armor, and an Alton for a helmet, and they turn around and just shoot me once because I have level 4 armor and die. That's something that I feel like that's no fun, and that's what makes me kind of sometimes rage and stop playing the game, because I'm just like, wow, I just did everything right there, but it doesn't matter. Whereas I feel like once the wipe happens, you can get the first shot off, and unless obviously you run into some streamer that's been playing 24/7 since the wipe happened, and he's already got the best gear, most likely you're going to one-shot him if you clonk him in the head. So I just feel like, yes, everybody's going to be in the same place because of quests, but at the same time, it's just, I feel like that's the game in general. Like there are a lot of people, you have to adapt, and I feel like you just have to rely on the competitive aspect of the game. You have to rely on how good you are as a shooter, and I also think it will make you a better player if you're playing against someone that's heavily geared. I don't think that's going to make you a better player. I think that's just making you really frustrated, and you might just quit. But if you're playing someone that has the same gear and you're losing to them, then you're gonna be like, okay, what did I do wrong there, and how do I improve myself? Whereas now you're like, well, I can't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong there. They just had better gear. So I think that's another aspect that I'm looking forward to, is that it's going to get more, for me, a better way to analyze myself as a player and to kind of compare myself to the best players. Because now there is really no comparison, because they're all level 70 and I'm not even level 20, right? So I also think it's like, I didn't really get to the point where I unlocked the Bitcoin machine. I didn't get to the point where I went to labs. And I feel like if I ever get to that point, it's going to be a cool like grind from the very, very bottom to get to that. So that's what I'm looking forward to. You might be right, though, Zuri. I feel like it's very possible that this game could be more difficult than it is now, but I just feel like it takes away the excuse. I think now you have an excuse. You're like, well, that guy just has better shit than I do. Whereas later on, when the wipe happens, it's going to be like, wow, he's just better than me. He's just really good at the game. Okay, I accept that. Let's move on to the next raid. There's a difference between that and just getting shitted on when someone has better loot. So, I don't know. That's obviously you played the game a lot longer than I have. You played it 2 months before that I even joined. So I'm kind of like a noob to the game. So I'm a little naive when I'm thinking about how this game's going to change after the wipe. But
you just came in at a bad time. Like I said, like with all the people being on quarantine, like it just, you had those people that got in around when I did, learned the game like I did, and then you came in, and it's like you know nothing about the game, you know nothing about the maps. Like those are all things that take time, like so much more time than any other game that I've played. Like it just, you have to commit to learning the map or having a second monitor with the map up so you can reference where you're at, and all those things, put you at a disadvantage when you're coming up against somebody who knows exactly what he's doing. He knows where the hiding spots is. He knows the angles for this, on customs. He knows if I sit in this bush, I can look at anybody that's trying to get through the broken wall on the far side, close to the railroad extraction. Like all these people learned all this stuff. So you're coming into this game completely not knowing anything. Obviously, which we know so much more now. And there's so many mechanics have changed since I first started the game now. Like the strength mechanic has been changed. So like there's a lot of things that had changed for the better, but it comes down to everyone still has the same crutch now. So like you said, it's just strictly off of skill, and
which is good. I think
for everyone that's watching, I play Tarkov with a controller, so I have no aim assist. I have a very different, I have to play the game very differently. Like I'm playing it on console, but I'm playing against PC guys who can flick. So like at first it wasn't a big deal. I could make up for my shooting ability. I could everyone else not knowing what they were doing. I can learn a game pretty fast. So like it didn't matter. But once those people learned the game, I couldn't make up for their ability to do things quicker on PC. So that like maybe that just made me frustrated or put me at that disadvantage that I just couldn't deal with anymore. I love the game, and if this game ever comes to console, I mean it will be one of the best games, and I'll put so much time into it because having that even playing field will be great. I just can't play mouse and keyboard, so I wanted to play the game, so I just figured out how to play with a controller.
Yeah, it does give you a huge disadvantage if you're playing a controller. So I get you, but at the same time, I'm actually looking forward to it. Looking for the looking forward to the new map as well as Streets of Tarkov. So that's going to be cool. I also think I heard they're going to actually add new weapons as well in the next couple of weeks after the wipe. So that's going to be interesting too to see like which weapons they're going to add. They're going to add more American weapons like the G36, stuff like that, or more snipers or stuff like that.
The thing about Streets of Tarkov that actually gets me excited is the fact that they have straight up said that it's going to be unlike any other multiplayer experience or map build that you've never seen before on any other game. Like I'm trying to understand what that exactly means, and I honestly cannot wait to see what they're talking about in that situation, what they mean by that, because I've played so many shooters. You've played so many shooters, and we've played shooters for 10 years now. So like I feel like we've seen it all. So when they say that we haven't seen it all and there's something else that we've never seen before, and I try and think about that, and I'm like, what have I not seen in a video game that I want to see in a video game that would be game changing? So like that whole comment by Nikita, I was just, it really gets me, like it gives me like butterflies. I'm like all right, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't have issues and there's not exploits, because that's the big problem with the game right now as well, is the hacks, the exploits, all that.
Yeah, that's
stuff.
one thing that I hope they actually like. I know it's really hard to track, but the radar cheats that were in PUBG for the longest of times, a lot of people that use it now in Tarkov on a separate monitor, and that's ridiculous in my opinion.
I feel like that was
especially
like
in this
said,
game, that's like the biggest advantage in the world.
Well, yeah, because you wipe the map, then it's just you and scabs.
Yeah, and it's different from PUBG. PUBG,
that.
this has been a big issue for a long time, the radar hacks. But PUBG is a game that once you die, there's really no consequence. This is a game where you die, you lose your shit, especially if you bring a lot of good stuff with you, then it amplifies your death even more. So for them to not, first of all, like I know it's really hard to track because a lot of people, when they do these radar hacks, it's on a separate monitor. But I feel like they have to figure it out. They have to, not just Tarkov, but all these shooters need to figure out how to, all these companies need to figure out how to like crack down on these cheaters, especially the radar hacks. Like aimbot, that's probably going to happen on a PC game regardless. But this radar stuff, like especially for like a battle royale / this kind of like adventure survival kind of game, it's like the biggest advantage you can have. So to know where people are at all times. And so they have to get rid of it in order for this game to be actually fun. Because I'll be really pissed if I bring like maxed out stuff, a juice cannon with SA-58 with M61 rounds, and just because someone knows where I am, they snipe me from across the map and I lose all my shit. And that would be a really horrible experience. I probably would uninstall the game if that happened. So
I mean,
thankfully that hasn't happened yet.
That's why I refuse to play Woods. That is literally why I refuse to play Woods. I got sniped across the map. The guy was like literally in the water, and I was like in the backside of the wall, and I just got headshot dropped. You couldn't even hear the bullet. I just done.
Yeah, helmets in this game, unless you wear Alton, is pretty much like there's really no point of wearing a helmet unless you're wearing your Alton because they're pretty much one shot regardless if they conk you in the head.
Well, at the
But
point that we're at right now, like when the wipe happens, other helmets will make a difference. But once you get to
yeah,
that point where everyone's level 40 plus, everyone's can
yeah.
afford to buy an Alton. Yeah. If you don't have the money to buy an Alton, might as well not even wear a helmet because it's just a waste of money at
Well,
that
I
point.
think that's another good point, though. I think that one thing that I'm kind of looking forward to, everybody right now is using the best ammo available. If you're using an SA-58 or M1A, then you're using the M61, right? If you're using the M4, then you're using the, I forgot what it's called, but it's like the M139 or something like that. And it's BP ammo if you're using the AK, right? Like everybody has the best shit. So pretty much if you have level 4 armor or under, you're dead, one shot, regardless. But I feel like once the wipe happens, I'm not saying you won't run into it at all, but it will be less times where you run into guys with max ammo. And then level 4 armor is actually, it's actually sustainable. You're able to wear it and you don't have to you feel like you're naked pretty much. Now you go out in level 4 armor, you're feeling like you're naked. Like this, it's like almost not even worth wearing it because people are going to fucking destroy you. Unless you run into a scav, that's the only way you're going to survive a gun battle. And
The
so
other
that's
thing
another thing that I'm kind of looking forward to for when the wipe
The
happens.
other thing about this game or this during this wipe was, and I can't really speak. This is just from my experience, but it really felt like this wipe or this current playthrough, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what happened in the previous wipes, but this one I feel like I was getting so much free shit because of all the issues they were having. They were giving money away. They were giving slicks away like it was candy.
Well, I
And
think it's just quarantine. The quarantine. I know there was the stay home package that we got from Tarkov like a couple of months ago. It was because people were at home, and I guess they just wanted because they know people are playing this game, so they wanted to give them something, right? And I think there was a slick actually in that package. So I get what you're saying. I hope that once the quarantine is over, and it seems like by July, pretty much everything will go to normal. Fingers crossed, obviously. But once that happens, I feel like, especially during the weekdays, you're not going to see as many like people that are super sweaty. I hope at least on Tarkov
I
because they got to
just
work.
I just I don't get me wrong. I was really grateful for all the stuff you gave me because using controller, I fucking needed it. I was struggling. Okay, so that $1 million gave me like 3 times. Thank you. I
Why don't
really
you just
needed it
man up and play with the fucking keyboard and mouse? God damn
because
it!
I'd
Like,
be even worse. I'd be even
just
worse.
practice with it.
Maybe on my scav runs, I'll play mouse and keyboard this time around.
Play offline raids and just get used to it. You know how much big difference you can put hotkeys in? So when you heal, you don't have to fucking actually go to the main menu. You can just press
I
4
get that.
and you can heal.
This isn't a Tarkov controller conversation. Okay.
I just don't understand.
Anyways,
Just do it.
anyways,
As
I just
Shia LaBeouf would say, do it.
don't let your dreams be dreams.
Right. I mean, you're the one that showed me that. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Play that fucking mouse and keyboard, and maybe a lot of the issues.
I'm a controller player at heart. That's just where I'm gonna be at. And with the next Xbox Series X, man, I mean,
this poor guy.
there's
I'm sorry.
there's just gonna be no need for I mean this is a topic for another. This is okay, guys. If you would like a separate video talking about controller to mouse, controller versus mouse, and what you should play,
You're gonna lose the argument.
like the comments, like the video, and comment below what you prefer, and if we should have another video talking about keyboard and mouse. And with the next gen consoles coming out, the price of performance, why would you buy a PC when you can just use a controller? These next generation is going to disrupt, but that's not the topic of this video. If you want to see that video be made, comment, like the video, tell us to make that video. I don't remember what I was saying before this whole keyboard mouse bullshit happened. So we're gonna end the video right there. And
thank you guys for watching. Frank is just super stubborn; he won't switch, but we'll talk about that later. Appreciate you guys watching. Break Room Nerds logging off. Hit subscribe, like. Peace out.